Welcome to Straight Talk on Project Management, an unscripted and unedited video series with Stoneseed's David Cotgreave. Get in touch with David and find out more about Stoneseed at stoneseed.co.uk. Episode 5 is all about the Stoneseed difference.
A lot of companies say that they do project management as a service, but actually when you really drill down, they're almost recruitment services for resources. How is PMaaS different from that?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid observation. The challenge is that the core of PMaaS is an individual. And it's, as I've said a number of times, I think previously, it's about that experience, it's about that knowledge, it's about confidence to a client, and confidence comes from experience and knowledge. So there's a lot of recruitment organisations or recruitment-based organisations who've coined the phrase PMaaS because it's growing in terms of its market presence and in terms of what clients are searching for example, on social media, and search engines. So, we need a PMaaS provider. So not surprisingly, people have kind of started to use that in their marketing terminology. But as you say, when you peel back some of the layers, actually what they're doing is they're sending you the CVs of 3 or 4 people for you to make the decision. So why is that not PMaaS? That's quite a lengthy debate, actually, to be perfectly honest. But at its highest level, it's because it's not just the individual that you're accessing. So you take a project manager to work on your project. Let's use our CRM example, and the project manager perhaps hasn't seen a particular component of the software, or hasn't worked with that type of vendor before, or whatever it might be, and they immediately have access to all of their colleagues. So I've never added it up, but combined project knowledge of our professional services team is not insignificant. We recruit people who are experienced. We recruit people, who have seen it, done it, got the t-shirt, for want of a better phrase. And access to those people is valuable. Secondly, we also recognise that different people work in different environments in different ways. And sometimes, people just don't quite work out, not because they aren't good, solid project managers, as we're often asked for, but more likely because personality-wise, they don't quite work with a senior stakeholder or a member of the portfolio team, or whatever it might be. We can solve that. We can swap them out, frankly, with somebody else. You wouldn't get that if you kind of go to a recruitment agency. And then wrapped around all of that is our own PMO. So we practice what we preach. I suppose we're probably quite unique in that we're a project management organisation and we run everything as a project. So central to our operation is our own internal PMO team. And that is available to clients, but they are responsible for ensuring that our project resources deliver against our agreed objectives. And they do things that clients find time consuming and take up a lot of resources to do. So like demand planning, timesheeting, invoicing, some of the mechanics that sit behind all of this, PMO will take responsibility for. And that's in addition to them doing the escalating of risks and issues. And it's another pair of eyes, it's another pair of ears that sits alongside the client. Because what we haven't really talked about so far is that we're sitting client side, so we're part of their team. We're not coming in and doing unto them, we're doing with them. And everything within our organisation is geared towards supporting client delivery. So if they are short of a project support officer, we can access one from our team for them. If they just need help with consolidating 250 plans into Project Online so they can have a portfolio view. We can help them do that. If they need a BA, we can help them do that. If they need technical design authority, we can help them do that. All of these things we are able to bring to a project team, a project issue, a project challenge, that if as a client you'd just gone and picked a resource, I'm not saying you wouldn't get a good service from that resource, but you wouldn't get all the other bits that are around it. We have our own resource management system that we've developed ourselves that is purely there to enable us to manage multiple resources on multiple clients against multiple projects, record time, record purchase orders, record invoiced amounts against all of those at an individual level. It's worth a lot to a client, because that, if you have more than one project running, is quite time consuming. Where are we up to on our order? Do we need to raise some more, etc., etc. There's that, and then there's also I talk about communication, and I talk about the fact that success at a project level is first and foremost about communicating, and over communicate is better than under communicating. So tell people what you're doing, tell them what the challenges are, tell them what the issues are, tell them what decisions you need making, etc., etc., etc. Our engagement model, I suppose, for want of a better term, has that communication built in. So, we take time to understand what a client wants at the beginning. We go through an onboarding process with a client to understand how they do things, where they see some of the challenges, where we may be able to help them over and above providing them with a project manager. Can we help them, evolve their life cycle, their process? What's missing? Where are the gaps? Have we got any templates that perhaps we could, provide them? Just simple stuff. But we do that through a workshop session, as before they've committed to anything, before they've taken any resources from us. And then we get into, we need a project manager to do X, Y, and Z, and we then take some time to understand what X, Y, and Z is. Well, is it really X, Y, and Z? Is this the best way of doing it? Provide some challenge, I suppose, and back it to that. But at every step of this process, we are beginning to understand more and more and more about the client, about how they do things, about what's important to them, about the do's and the don'ts, and ultimately what their objectives are. So we can stay focused on delivering the value, and value is interpreted in different ways by different people. So you've got to understand this stuff at the beginning, and this planning, make sure you're doing the planning rather than the plan. I'm sure somebody said that as a famous quote once. Is really, really important. Take the time, and we do it with our clients as we're bringing them through that kind of cycle, and then we'll deliver a project manager to them, but we'll deliver them 3 or 4 options typically, because it's not always about skill set. It's often about personality and how you physically get things done. And then we'll have a process of ensuring that you call it account management, call it project review, call it whatever you want, but we have a process where we will sit down with a client on a very regular basis to understand what's working, understand what's not working, understand what we need to do differently, how we can improve, but importantly what they need to do differently and what they need to improve. And we really try, and again I know it's a bit of a cliche, but we really try and aim for this partnership approach. We're both delivering their projects at the end of the day, and it's their project outcomes, and if we're going to have a chance of delivering that successfully, we need to feel as though we're part of that organisation, sharing their challenges, sharing their successes, and sharing when things perhaps don't go quite so right, which is my other mantra, which is do the right thing. If you don't do it right, then do whatever it takes to put it right.
What's the next Stoneseed client look like? Who should be calling you?
Anybody who has a need around that project space, and it's not just project managers, it's we talk about successful project outcomes. To deliver successful project outcomes, you need a combined set of resources. You don't just need one individual, and our PMaaS model, and if you think of that as being augmented with business analyst services that I've touched on before, PMO services, and also things like technical architecture services, technical design authority services, things that you need in order to make sure that your solution is going to be fit for purpose, aligns to your strategy, to your business objectives. So anybody who's in that space who's considering perhaps the best way to deliver a project should absolutely pick up the phone or go to the website, as they say. Anybody who finds themselves in perhaps a more mature organisation, project-wise, but is struggling to find resources for a particular project and perhaps would typically go to the contract space for that, for reasons that we've touched on previously. IR35 implications make that less attractive, and therefore come and talk to us. We can provide not only the expertise in terms of the resource, but also the supporting cast that comes with that, if you like, and access to those systems and those tool sets and those ways of doing things, as well as our wider project community. And I'd like to think that when we walk into the room, or when the project manager walks into the room, or the BA, or whatever resource it is, having been through some of the steps around onboarding and understanding and taking that time and making that investment on both sides, but making that investment, that the client genuinely is, it's a bit of a moment, I've got confidence that this individual and Stoneseed as an organisation are going to be able to help us deliver. And that doesn't mean it's going to be smooth sailing all the time, of course not. But it does mean that they've got confidence in the people that are helping them and are saying that they're going to be able to help them. And we have a track record of doing it. So, if you need resource, if you find yourselves wondering how best to tackle a particular project issue, or IR35 is playing on your mind, then pick up the phone, get in touch. We'd be more than delighted to have a conversation. And we also recognise that it's not always right for everybody. That's fine as well, but it's good to talk, as they say, or somebody once said. So that goes for projects, that goes for building relationships with clients, and we'd rather have that discussion and for us to agree between us that it's not right or it is right, as the case may be. We're certainly not hard sell. You must have a PMaaS, because it's not right for everybody, but it's right for a lot of organisations.
You can get in touch with Stoneseed's David Cotgreave and find out more about Stoneseed at stoneseed.co.uk. In the meantime, thank you for watching and goodbye.